Here we're going to be looking at simple interest. Now the main two formulas we're going to use I've outlined in black. The first one I'm going to talk about is I equals PRN. This means that the interest, the amount of interest in dollars, equals the principal, which is the initial amount borrowed or invested, that's also in dollars, times the rate, the interest rate per period, times n, which is the number of periods. So that's the main formula we're going to be using. And the other formula is A equals P plus I. So that means that the A is the final amount in dollars, is equal to the principal plus the interest, which is what we can calculate using this formula. Now, the first example we're going to look at, we've got find the interest when $600 is invested at 8% per annum for 18 months. Okay, so we're going to look at that one first, then we'll look at B in a moment. So for A, I'm going to identify what we know. So for the formula for I equals PRN, what do we know? Well, we don't know the interest. It's asking us to find the interest. So that's the main thing we're trying to find. Now the P, the principal, $600 is invested. So that's how much. That's our principal there. That's how much we start with. The rate, invested at 8% per annum, so the rate is 8% per annum, and N is the number of periods, so that's going to be 18 months. Now, if these two were the same form of time, so if they were both in years or both in months, then we'll be able to just pop it straight in our formula. Unfortunately, because we've got months and years, we need to change one of them. In this case, I'm going to change our N to years. So to find what N in years is going to be, we're going to use our calculator. We're going to divide 18 months by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. So if we do 18 divided by 12, we're going to get 3 over 2. Press the S to D button and it tells us it's 1.5 years. So as it's 1.5 years, we can now use our formula because PA means per annum, which is per year. So that's in years, we can use our formula. So the formula, of course, is I equals P N. So our P is 600. Our rate is 8% per annum. You can change this to fraction or decimal form. We'll keep it like this for the moment. And in N, which is in years, 1.5 years. So you type this into your calculator, 600 times 8% times 1.5 equals 72. So that tells us that the interest over that time period is $72. Now, instead of 8%, we could also have done 8 over 100 as a fraction, or we could have also done it as a decimal of 0.08. Most teachers and students prefer these two compared to this because if you forget to do that percentage symbol, it changes your answer quite drastically, and if you forget that, you're going to get the answer wrong. So by changing it, you're more likely to not forget. Moving on to B, we've got find the annual interest rate when $5,000 earns $150 interest in 2 years. So let's figure out what we know. Now it tells us the interest. It says it's $150 interest. So we'll write that down. Now P, we're finding the interest rate when $5,000, so that's telling us that's how much we start with. And that it's that the rate is the thing we don't know. It says find the annual interest rate, so that's what we don't know. So we're going to find that. And the N says it's 2 years. So we need to find that. Now, in this case, it says the annual interest rate, and we're already in years, so we don't have to adjust the rate or the time period. So we'll pop everything into our formula. First, rewriting the formula. I equals P R N. So I is 150. P is 500. We don't know our rate. I'm going to leave it as an R. And we know our N, it's 2. So our first step here is we're going to multiply these two numbers because we can do that. We can't multiply by R, but we can do it with these two. So if we have 150 is equal to 500 times 2 is 1,000. So we've got 1,000 times R. Now to get R by itself, we need to divide both sides by 1000. By dividing both sides by 1000, this 1000 is going to disappear, and we're going to be left with our R value. So if we do 150 divided by 1000, we get 3 over 2, which is 0.15, which as a percentage is going to be 15% per annum, which gives us our answer.